This time on episode 504 of Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., we talk the 2024 Disney Plus show X-Men 97, specifically Season 1, Episode 3, Fire Made Flesh.
I'm SP from the GonnaGeek.com show, a weekly geek news podcast that is part of the GonnaGeek.com network. Just like the show you're checking out now. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other amazing geek shows at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
Raised on X-Men, empowered by the Avengers, strengthened by the Defenders, webbed by Spider-Man, adopted by the Fantastic Four, and forged by S.H.I.E.L.D. Stand by for your Marvel debriefing.
And now it's time for your Marvel debriefing. I'm Agent Lauren.
I'm Agent Michelle.
I'm Agent Chris.
And I'm the producer of the show, Director SP.
Welcome to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. This show is recorded on Saturday, March 30th, 2024, live from the Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. studios and broadcast twins wide. Come and join our live chat as we record. And Michelle, what are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about Fire Made Flesh. The team is propelled into a tragic confrontation with an immortal mad scientist.
All right, we're going to jump right into first thoughts. Lauren, what'd you think?
Are we sure this episode was only 33 minutes long?
Michelle.
We got a lot of story in those 33 minutes.
Excuse me, what did just happen?
I'm just going to continue this theme. The X-Men fights are some of the best in animation. We got some doozies in this one. All right, we're going to start talking about the pacing of the episode. A lot happened. 33 minutes. We all talked about it. Michelle, what'd you think?
I thought it was a tad bit quick. Maybe after the end of our discussion, I'll have a different opinion, but right now there was just too much, too quick for me.
That was a lot of story they were trying to pack in there, though. And, I mean, how Inferno encompasses everything. How do you get it down into a 30-minute episode, which they already kind of cheated on by making it 33 minutes? And I think they're really trying to stay away from two-parters at this point.
I thought, it's like it felt like there was like 3 episodes worth of story crammed into this one episode. It did feel rushed, but at the same time, I felt like everything was also flowing into each other really well. Like this part of the story connects to this part of the story, and therefore it didn't feel as jarring because it wasn't jumping around.
Yeah, it was all interconnected. I liked it. And I was watching it and I was thinking in terms of actually reading a comic. And it is at the speed of comics, the episode was. So yeah, it jumped around a little bit, but it's like you turn the page and something else happens. You turn the page and something else happens. You go from one panel to the next and something else is happening. That's what I was kind of thinking of. It was like a jam-packed comic issue, and that's what we got. So while I hope not all of the remaining episodes are like this, it was good to see in this one, especially because you were funneling so many stories in and you have so many stories funneling out from the back. So I do think it was okay from that perspective. All right, so we addressed it. Let's talk about it. Clones. Michelle, what you got?
Well, we got ourselves a clone. And throughout the episode, it's what does it mean to be yourself? Is it your genetics? Is it your memories? Is it the relationships that you already have with the people? What makes you you?
Lauren, what's your take on the clone?
Oh, I tend to love clone stories, even though it's not scientifically accurate to how cloning actually works. Hello, I used to clone bacteria in a lab for almost a decade. I love any story where it's, what does it mean to be a person? What does it mean to be human? And I know Madelyne's a villain in the comics, and I know that she does some not great stuff in this episode, but I really can't help but feel for her. You think you're one thing, and then suddenly someone with your face literally shows up and is like, hey, you're a fake. But you're there with your husband and your kid and your friends. And I do love that Nathan was like the touchstone to her, because that was one thing that was hers that was not Jean's.
We do not know when the switch happened. We do not know which one of them was pregnant with Nathan. We do not know who carried him and who actually had birth, because their memories are all jumbled up in there. So I'm
pretty sure it's very definitively Madelyne who was pregnant and gave birth. But you're right that we don't know when she and Jean were switched.
Yeah, what a wonderfully convoluted story there, right? Because it's not just cut and dry. It is blended into everything. And I just got to say, I'm going to say it, Goblin Queen was hot. She was. It was good.
Oh, yeah.
There, you're picking up what I'm putting down.
Okay, so I know they couldn't do her comics accurate costume because that is just on the border of not safe for work, but it's such a very attractive look.
It was pretty cool. Now, Chris, we get Sinister back. Where did we leave it? What's going on with that?
We had Sinister at the end of the animated series' first run, and you were seeing the origin of him and how everything came out. And so having this Sinister villain come back, I think is such a good touch, because that's a really nice tie to the original series, because you don't just suddenly have a new big bad to worry about. You have the continuation of it. And he just seems to fit in exactly where everything dropped off at the end of the last series.
Lauren, you had Morph in there, and he was dealing with stuff.
Oh, yeah. So Sinister, he's obsessed with the Summers Gray lineage, but Morph spent all this time under his control, and the Morph that we have seen lately is a lot more, cheerful, happy-go-lucky, seems to be more in control of himself. And here we get Morph just like, oh, everything is suddenly very bad, and transforms their face back into that, very deep eye bags look that we got while he was under Sinister's control. It was kind of sad to see. We're going to see where this goes, because I don't think they're going to drop that. Also, we did see Morph kind of get taken control of again, in terms of but not Sinister. We got Madelyne messing with her head.
And Chris, you picked up on something with Morph and what's going on in the series so far.
I really like that Morph is using the powers, both his powers to turn into people and the powers of the characters. In this one, the big one that jumped out to me was Morph turning into magic, Ileana Rasputin, actually getting to use the soul sword. But I'm also hoping that this isn't how we get all the cameos that we're expecting from this series.
Yeah, I've noticed a few along the way. We haven't talked about it, but there was a couple of morphing last episode too. And it was like, I hope that's not the case, because we do have Magneto, and where is his people at this point?
And I do want to say too, I don't hope that Morph stops turning into people and using his powers. Like, keep doing it as much as you're doing it, dude. That's great. I just want to see the actual people come in as well on top of that.
Yeah, Michelle, we have a reason never to go into the basement of the X Mansion.
That sequence of the mansion, it seems to come alive, but it's really Madelyne messing with everyone's brain and bringing out their subconscious horror, was a sequence that really threw me that they did. It was spectacularly animated. The fight seemed so real. And I really would hate to be the one that has to clean all of that up afterwards.
I think Jean took care of it. But yeah, I was thinking, the entire fight and everything at the end, you get Scott and Jean in their bedroom, right? And it's all wrecked. And it's like, who's going to clean this up? I don't know. Anyway, Lauren, you like horror.
I do. And this was surprisingly effective. I've been on a bit of a horror reading kick lately, and this was a bit of a nice little bookend to my week. It was honestly really scary for a kid's cartoon, I think. I know this is aimed a little bit more at our generation, the ones who grew up with the show, and because if you've noticed, they let Wolverine say things like pissed off and crap. But, it was very effective, I thought. Just very unnerving.
Reminded me of a couple of scenes and places in the original X-Men 92 series or the animated series, like the TV planet, stuff like that. It kind of brought back that, but this was on another level for sure. Chris, you also noticed something, and I noticed it too, but I'm going to let you talk about it first. It's Wolverine and Jean.
It is no secret that Wolverine has a thing for Jean, which I don't blame him for at all. But every time everybody leaves and Jean has to stay, or Jean has to go get rescued, or anything like that, Wolverine gets left with Jean. And it's not him deciding to do it every time. It's also other people coming in and splitting up the team, and eventually, Wolverine, you stay with Jean. And why do people keep leaving Wolvie with Jean like that? Like, at some point, there are some things you just kind of need your husband for. But also, why are you torturing Wolverine by leaving him with Jean like that?
Look, I'm just saying, if they went the comics route and remembered that everyone has two hands, we can get a nice little throuple going, and I think things would smooth out.
This is another dimension that's very rich in here because Chris is right. Every single time Jean is in trouble, Logan is there and Scott is not. And in this particular case, I can't disagree with the decision. Scott is emotionally invested in what's going on and simultaneously detached because he doesn't know which Jean he should be with, sort of thing. He's not into the throuple, unfortunately. I don't know why. Two Jeans, go for it, right? But he just is not into it. So,
I mean, I was thinking Wolverine instead of Madelyne, but you know what? There's plenty of room for everybody. Polycules all around.
Yeah, there's four of them. Yeah, okay. Why not? And then I'm gonna put this out there. When they discover that it's a clone and which one was older and everything, they just let Madelyne go off with the baby. Nobody's watching her, nobody's whatever, and Storm's not there, so maybe that connection just wasn't there. But they just let her go off. It's like, oh, nothing's gonna happen. Guys, you're X-Men. Something always happens. Somebody should be there with her and Nathan. I'm just saying.
Buddy system.
They're the X-Men. Something's going to happen no matter what.
And Michelle, you have a note about Nathan?
Well, we get the literal birth of Cable because Nathan gets the technovirus and just as Beast fixed Bishop's time thingy that's got enough juice for him and one little baby, we've got, poor little Nathan having to go into the future with only memories that Madelyne gives him.
So I got two notes on that. First of all, wasn't the guy that Bishop was talking about at the end Forge? Wasn't that who he was talking about?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Because then we get Forge.
We get Forge in current day. We don't get him in future. We get him in current day with Storm. So I don't know who the person is that Bishop wants to go off. Also, I'm just thinking maybe Hank could spend all the years leading up to it to, make a cure. Just saying. You could use some time.
I feel like that's going to be a project on the back burner, considering that the second he starts to get to work, there's like an alarm going off and he's just going to be, drop the tools, get up.
Yeah, Hank's mention of literature throughout this episode was fun. And it was just continuing on that cerebral sort of discussion. Also, all the X-Men have already met Cable. They just don't know who he is because this is a continuation of X-Men, the animated series, right? So, and they've all met Cable.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
Yeah. All right.
The only one who really knows is Jean because she read his mind and was like, Scott, no, don't hurt him. So Jean's really the only one that knows.
Interesting. I wonder if she retained that memory throughout the whole cloning process thing. That's not really cloning. All right. Voice actors, who we got this week, Lauren?
Okay. So first of all, I am going to bring up somebody that was brought up last week. Courtney Taylor once again showed up, this time as the voice of Magic/Darkchild, which is Magic's more demonic form. As Chris said, we got Morph turning into her. We also had Gil Birmingham as Forge. Where have you seen him before? Most recently in Under the Banner of Heaven as Bill Taba, Andrew Garfield's character's partner on the police force. He's also probably best known from Twilight as Jacob's dad, Billy Black. We had Ross Marquand. I'm still not sure how to pronounce that. Let's go with Marquand. Ross Marquand showing up as Charles Xavier and kind of evil Charles Xavier during the horror segment. We know him from being our replacement Red Skull and Ultron in the Avengers movies. And we had Chris Britton coming in as Mr. Sinister. He's been in a whole lot, but I best know him as Light's dad on Death Note in the original anime.
I didn't have any issue with the voice acting at all. So they brought in a lot of great talent, and it was great to kind of hear the original sound, especially from like Professor Xavier. All right, I got a question for everybody here, especially since we've been talking about twins and clones, whatever. So you think back into all your sci-fi comics, and you have a twin created, a clone, a double, evil twin, doppelganger, whatever. What are the best ones that you can think of that we've seen on screen? I have a few, so stop me if you want to comment on any. The first one that came to mind was the transporter accident in Star Trek Next Generation, where you got William Riker and then you create Thomas Riker from that. So that was the first one that came to mind. And then Superman 3, I know you all watch that every weekend. It's on your TV in the background, right? But if you remember Christopher Reeve, if you've ever seen it, Christopher Reeve plays an evil Superman and original Superman. So that's another one. And another one, I just got to say the name because he's very entertaining. You got Tom Cruise in Oblivion. There was an evil Tom Cruise, and there was normal Tom Cruise. Won't go into it too in depth if you haven't seen it, but you have that. And then the next one that came to mind was that 1993 Kevin Kline hit, Dave, where he played the impersonator to the president.
Not technically a twin or a clone, but, I'll allow it if we're allowing for the whole good evil twin thing.
Yeah, the president was definitely evil in that one, and Dave was good, and Kevin Kline got to play both. And then you have not only one, but two movies that Disney made, one in 1961 and one in 1998, The Parent Trap, where you had actual twins played by one actor.
That one's a bit of a stretch too, though. I might have just read your question weird as a person created specifically to be a twin for the purpose of something, and those were actual twins that were just created because of mutant genetics and genes doing their thing and splitting.
So you're saying that Lindsay Lohan is not a mutant?
She might be. I don't know.
See, there you go. You don't know. All right. Although I get the sentiment. Yeah. So both Dave and The Parent Trap, probably not good. I have a few more here. Orphan Black. Anybody seen
Yes.
it?
Yeah, Orphan Black, it was my top choice because first of all, it's a whole show about cloning and twins and people taking each other's identities. And then you have the wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Oh, God, I just
She-Hulk?
blanked out on her name.
Tatiana Maslany.
Tatiana Maslany. Thank you.
She-Hulk.
Playing not only all of these characters, but at different times playing this character impersonating that other character, and just so seamlessly that at times I forgot that it's only one actress.
And then over on Must See TV on NBC, you had the Friends duo of Phoebe and Ursula Buffet, played by Lisa Kudrow. No, that's not. Okay.
I never really was into Friends, but I liked Phoebe. So I did like the confusion there.
Honestly, I think Lisa's probably the most intelligent one out of all of them, out of the 6 main actors. So she did amazing with that. The 1996 movie Multiplicity with our very own Batman and Birdman, Michael Keaton.
Haven't seen that one in ages, but
yeah, we could say it, but I mean, he's also in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He was in Spider-Man. That's why I said Birdman. Have you not seen all the MCU stuff, Chris?
I thought Birdman is a different thing. He played the Vulture in Spider-Man.
The Vulture.
Though he was in a movie called Birdman, which was a bit of a takeoff on Super. It's a good movie. I recommend it.
I was waiting for one of you to correct me. I just wanted to get all his stuff in there. But yeah, Multiplicity, where each character was kind of had a strength in one area only, and all the other areas were kind of diminished, and the copies kept on getting worse as they went along. So that was Multiplicity. This I have not seen in a while, and I kind of have the urge to do a rewatch. Fringe, where you had Walter Bishop and Walternate, played by the wonderful John Noble.
I mean, technically you have a whole universe of doppelgangers there. But yes, Walter's was sort of the most noticeable.
And then I have a personal favorite from Marvel Comics. I can't say the MCU, although maybe it fits in there somehow. In Logan, the last Hugh Jackman Wolverine movie, you can say that X-23 is kind of a clone of Wolverine.
She is, and then she gets her own clones in the comics.
Yep.
Hooray
she
for
counts
Honey
on
Badger.
so many levels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you guys have anybody else that comes to mind?
In, is it Army of Darkness, Bruce Campbell, we get Good Ash and Bad Ash.
Bad Batch.
Yeah.
The series too, right? With the clones. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But Bad Batch specifically. Yeah.
I mean, if you're stretching things, and if you're going to stretch things anyway, Spider-Gwen.
Good point.
I knew that was
just basically everything from the Spider-Verse movies. Like we have our Miles and then Prowler Miles at the end of
Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So many clones and doppelgangers and stuff like that. I'm going to throw this out to our audience. If you have a favorite evil twin, clone, doppelganger, you've heard our discussion. We're not looking for Friends. We're not looking for The Parent Trap. We're not looking for Dave. We're looking for science fiction and comics. If you have one that we had not discussed, I want to hear what it is. Let us know what your pick is. All right, let's go into last thoughts for this episode. Michelle, what did you think?
This episode set up Mr. Sinister really well, and he has to come back.
Delicious villain. Lauren?
So the last episode we did, we talked about how those acted as kind of an introduction back into the world. The introduction is over. We are officially in the deep end now.
This changing up team roster that they have going on, I've got no idea where we're going. Like, I kind of have one idea of where we're going on something, and that's, like we previously discussed, Powerless Storm leading the X-Men. But outside of that, we've set it up to where anybody can show up. Even Spider-Man.
Does this now mean that Scott has twin sister wives and will be starring in his own spin-off of Big Love?
He could just take over the Sister Wives show on TLC since that guy's a jerk. Also, all of his wives divorced him.
Well, we haven't done predictions at all. Maybe we should start bringing predictions in next time. And talking about next time, we're going to be talking about X-Men 97 episode 4. And I really hope that we get more seasons. Season 2, I believe, is greenlit already. And then season 3 is season 4, and on and on and on, because this is just amazing.
And for more information about us, you can visit our website, legendsofshield.com. We have a voicemail line, 844-THE-BUS-1. That's 844-843-2871. You can join our Discord server at gonnageek.com/Discord. And we're a proud member of the gonnageek.com network.
All right, everyone. Until next week, I'm the Director SP.
I'm Agent Lauren.
I'm Agent Michelle.
I'm Agent Chris, or at least I look that way.
See everybody next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
For now. Where do you think Madelyne's going to go? She's going to go to the mall? Be with Agent Hill?
She could go to the beach and make sandcastles made of sand.
Thank you for listening. The intro music heard on this podcast is Great Marvels of the World by Lynn Publishing, found on pond5.com. The outro music heard on this podcast is Cinematic Trailer by Ed Records, found on audiojungle.net. Other transitional music on this podcast is found on incompetech.com, audiojungle.net, and pond5.com. For more information about this podcast, please visit legendsofshield.com. Excelsior!
I, Michelle, also have finished Halo.
Ooh, what'd you think?
Yeah, there better be a season 3.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is all great setup. This is great setup. Dive. If they stop here. Now on to Bad Batch.
Oh, yeah, I need to catch up on that.
Good. Do you want us to repress our recording?
Yeah, go
buttons?
ahead. You guys start recording.
Woo!
That's another difference between Steven and myself. Steven's like, okay, we're going to all press record on 3. 1, 2, record. I'm like, just press record.
Even if I end up not using the local track, I use the local track when I record with other people just to line it up.
Yeah, exactly. You are running a little bit hot, Chris.
I can't wait for WonderCon to be over, but I don't know why. I'm just saying words.
We've got the big toy con that's like, I don't know, 5 miles from my house. Maybe. Unfortunately, I can't go because I'm sick. They took over the entire fairgrounds. It's probably one of the bigger ones in the country. Classic, current, self-made.
Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is copyright 2013 through 2024.